Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Kryptonite Show, a second show for today. I hope you guys enjoy this one. We're going to be looking at the top 15 reasons or drivers or fundamentals, however you want to call it, that are going to make you rich in 2026. So hope you enjoy this presentation. It's going to be, I don't know how long it will take, maybe 20, 30 minutes, but we're going to get into it. Hope you guys enjoy it. Don't forget to share the show on X, hit the repost button as you come in, and we'll get into it. Leave any of your comments in the chat as well. I really do appreciate that. And of course, if you guys want to join Strategy Club, links in the video description on YouTube. Go through the Whoop store. Sign up. It's just over $1 a day, so pretty good value. And if you want to do that on X, just go up to the top of the profile and go through the Whoop shop link there as well. All right, let's get into it. And we're going to kick it off into the top 15 reasons. So let's go for gold on that. All right, so here we are. Let's kick it into it. The top 15 fundamentals 2026, and these are amazing. So this is really a dream run. It's a dream run ahead, guys. I mean, as good as it gets. The only thing that really could surprise us is probably the any geopolitical risks comes to mind as the first thing, and then secondly, anything particularly around property markets. That's probably the two main areas. But apart from that, we are looking for the golden run. It really is looking incredible. So top 15 fundamentals. Let's look at the first one. The first one here is coming up, of course, is the interest rate cuts on the 10th of December. That's currently at about 86% on the market's expectation. So it's pretty much locked in. And after we got the PCE inflation data on Friday, that came in for the core inflation just below expectations at about 2.8%. So that pretty much locks in, I think, that 25 basis point cuts. If we had something quite a bit even better, we probably could have even had the market, petitioning for 50 basis points or half a percentage point. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff there. Currently, the Fed funds rate around 4%, down to 3.75. So that's pretty cool. That's getting us closer to the inflation rate there. A good rule of thumb, of course, is a 1-to-1. So now we are expecting more rate cuts in 2026. So the cycle continues as we move. Monetary policy really starts to drive behavior in the markets, and of course, we know that's really what pumps the markets too. All right, so that's pretty cool stuff going on. All right, so that's pretty cool. Let's quickly get into the second point, and that is the new smart Fed. So we're going to have we've had a dumb Fed in, obviously Jerome Powell and all the ilk that are in there. A majority of them are pretty dumb. They moved very late on interest rate cuts, and they did the most aggressive rate cut there and caused a lot of damage. We also had that here in New Zealand, the same sort of thing. And they tend to move very late and sluggish as well. So we've got a new smart Fed coming in, and we're excited about some of the appointees that may come in there. Particularly, I think it's Levitt that could be the front runner, and he's a real smart super dude. So it's going to be very good there. Now we've also got that would lead us with the rate cuts course into a rate cut cycle, and we'll have a more dovish Fed more generally. So lower rate cuts rather than higher rate cuts. So pretty cool. So that is coming up, and that's probably into the new year. We should hear an announcement about that, I think, in December. And then I think the change of the guard, it's either March or May. I just can't remember which off the top of my head, but March or May coming up. All right, and then we move into number 3, QE, quantitative easing. We just saw the official ending of quantitative tightening on the 1st of December. And so quantitative easing should start to kick in, particularly I think into the middle of next year. So we could see really exciting stuff there. We've already seen some bond purchases there from the Fed. I think it was $35 billion to kick us off, I think. And also M2 monetary supply, back at record expansion as well. So this is really cool. More money around to go around as we move forward. So this is really going to pump assets big time, right? Risk on assets are going to be very exciting. So As you can see, these three are all around monetary policy as opposed to fiscal policy, and this is huge. So we're really got the perfect setup. We just had obviously a market correction on crypto on the 10th of October that's played out over the last sort of 7-8 weeks, and now we're ready to go for the next big run, and we've got monetary supply to now put fuel on the fire. So get ready. It's going to be pretty awesome. All right, coming in, of course, on the fundamental side of things with the financials. Obviously, Trump's raised an incredible 21 trillion in 2025. That's current run rate expected by the end of the year. That includes, a lot of official stuff that people know, and of course, stuff that the Trump administration has penciled in. So that's just enormous. Compare that to Biden's administration over 4 years, doing about $1 trillion. This is 21 trillion in 2025. Imagine what 26, 27, etc. will bring in as well. It's going to be pretty mega. We'll obviously see a more diversified spread of that investment as well, and of course, front running that whole thing is the AI era, right? So it's going to be huge. We also know that part of the AI with the software, with the development of the AI intelligence, particularly trying to move towards general intelligence there as well. That's going to be pretty mega. The race is on, right, for domination in the AI space, and also obviously that's potentially could affect all parts of humanity's life. So it's the next industrial age, what they call the intelligence age, where everything gets impacted by artificial intelligence. Now, obviously, we know there's always got to be pragmatic rules about that. We always know this people will abuse it. So it's going to be an interesting battle of the good versus evil forces as usual, and the stupidity as well. There's always some stupidity in the middle there. We've got Alex in the house there. Big shout out. Thanks for the valuable information you've been providing for the community. I appreciate that, Alex. Big shout out. And so, yeah, that's coming in. This is mega. And we're also going to see, in addition to all that, convergence between robotics, rocketry, everything, pretty much electronics. It's going to be pretty massive. And yeah, a lot exciting times ahead. Let's move on from that. So that's massive. That's going to create huge amount of revenue. If you think about it's being applied to, pretty much it's going to spread over all of the businesses and business sectors for the most part. That will also create efficiencies, productivity, and new income streams, right? As that all gets laid out, and it'll take several years for that to even get to the base layer. So that's a big theme going to play out, and we're going to see iterations and technological evolutions of that over the next 10 years, right? But we'll see a lot of powerful stuff within the next 2 to 3 years for sure. And let's move on to the next one. Number 5 is 100% capital expensing. Not something typically people talk about, but is actually the major item there, probably from the tax cuts and extensions that Trump got through. And that's super powerful for investment as well. So we've got the 21 trillion, plus we've got 100% capital expensing in the first year. That is massive. So we've seen a lot of companies take all that 100% expensing and invest. So we've got a massive reindustrialization in the America, and it's setting up the supply side boom, right? What do the Democrats do really bad? Well, they normally shrink the supply side, and they spend a lot, and then they cause a lot of inflation, right? But this is very clever, because we're going to have monetary printing, but we're going to have supply side expansion and industrialization in the intelligence age, and that's going to mitigate all the inflationary pressures, right? And arguably even make deflation in many key sectors like energy, medicine, and food. So it's going to be pretty cool. So lots of cool stuff happening there, and that's a huge incentive, that 100% capital expensing. Let's go to number 6, Trump's balance sheet leveraging. This hasn't never been done before, at least not for a long time, if ever. And that is that Trump has got his economic team working on assessing the actual balance sheet value in the United States, both onshore and offshore. And of course, when I say onshore, I'm also meaning below the ground, right? And when I say offshore, I mean off the coast, right? So, the East Coast, West Coast, the Gulf of America, all that sort of stuff, right? So huge stuff happening there. And of course, drill, baby, drill, a big part of that. So energy, absolute energy boom. But that also will mean resources and everything else like that. So it's huge. And so they're basically doing a lot of surveys, a lot of assessments, and going to be drill, baby, drill in many different segments, gas, oil, etc., minerals, lots of cool stuff. Obviously, they're trying to also de-risk from China with rare earths. So they're doing a lot of deals around the world to support that as well in countries like Australia and Africa and places like that. So they're also, in South America, lots of things going on in that space to de-risk from the rare earths. So it's pretty exciting. In fact, I think it was only a week ago the first magnet was made in the United States, and Secretary Scott Bessent presented that. So it's game on, and it's a long time coming. Way overdue, by the way. They should have been doing this way back in about 2016, when China was going around the world snapping up a lot of resources, obviously. But also one of the advantages of a lot of the AI age and quantum age is that they are doing a lot of nanotechnologies, which will be able to do a lot of the dirty processing, but do it very efficiently, and that will probably mean a lot of recycling of electronics as well, because that would be the cheapest thing to do rather than big amounts of ore, which you only get a small percentage of rare earths in those ores, and you got to do a lot of dirty processing to get that. Well, with nanos, you can just scrap a lot of recycling and harvest that really cheaply, as well as using very low energy. So nanotechnology is going to be a big play in that as well. So lots of cool things happening on that front, and Trump and that are pushing there. Obviously, with all that stuff, you need a big energy boom. So you got power plants, nuclear power, all that sort of stuff, all being ramped up, and we've seen a lot of that this year with Trump coordinating all of that stuff with the AI boom and micro nuclear, mini nuclear, and large nuclear power stations and all that sort of stuff going together. So there's a lot of stuff happening, convergence, and they're trying to move it all together at the moment. All right, number 7, of course, is the Trump's also dealing, obviously, not only with he's got 3 main financial issues to deal with, right? The trade deficit, the budget deficit, or the federal deficit, and of course the federal debt or the public debt, right? So he's got 3 issues to deal with. I've talked about this a lot in the past, and he's going to be using several tricks to pay off the US debt. I think that market's going to see that as a really exciting things. The Democrats will hate that, though, of course, because it shows you that it can be done. Whereas the Democrats have just kept spending, and of course also the Uni Party members and the Republicans are also doing that until Trump's got rid of not all of them, but a good amount of them. I think maybe like only 3 or 4 left in the Senate. So that's super powerful. Now, obviously, with all those expected income from the tariffs, they're looking at doing tariff checks. So that would be pretty exciting. Last time we saw that was like the COVID checks, and look how good that was for crypto. The other thing, of course, is paying down the debt, that $38 trillion of debt that the US has, which is just an insane level of debt, right? Just remember the bank of that is that US GDP income is about 27 billion. So you got 38 billion in public debt. So it's pretty ridiculous. And also, if you've got the trade deficit at about 1.2 trillion, and then a budget deficit of about 2.2 trillion, something like that, and half of that is debt, of course, which is just horrific. Over $1 trillion in debt, and that's even greater than the US government budget for the military, which is the first time ever under the Trump has been increased to just over $1 trillion as well. So a lot of moving parts there. But Trump has very cleverly balanced all those things, and dealing with the budget deficit, the trade deficit, by reordering the World Trade Order, and that has mostly gone very well. Obviously, still teething troubles there with China, who's also trying to play the superpower game. They're playing the long game, and they're trying to position against Trump, who's very good at moving a lot of pieces on the chessboard, because he's got a great team behind him, right? Very smart team behind him, doing a lot of things we don't even see in public, but they're moving a lot of different chess parts there. All right, so that's kind of playing out. That's checks. That's going to be a lot of money for people to go in and put into crypto or whatever they want to do. And of course, paying down debt is going to be another stimulus to the economy that's going to be pretty well received, I think, by the markets, by Wall Street, Main Street, etc. So very excited about that. And of course, probably good for the polls overall. Poll voting there. Now, number 8 is obviously we had the tax bill go through. We had that 100% capital expensing, and at number 5 there. Well, we also obviously got no tax on tips, no tax on overtime and Social Security, and of course we would expect to see some big refunds. I think that's going to start into the second quarter of next year. So that could be pretty exciting to see where all that goes to. So tariff checks, your refunds could be pretty neat, where people start to spend their money. So Richard's talked about marketing a lot with PulseGen. Well, it's not a matter of just calming down because everyone's a bit upset about where the prices are of ProofX and all that sort of stuff going on, but actually to persevere and just keep marketing and promoting, and to encourage others to promote, because there's all this money that's going to be sploshing around, and you want to reach out to these people, right, that are particularly in America here. And of course, America is the big consumer of the world with the big incomes, right? So very bullish there. So that's going to be really exciting, all pumping money into the demand side. So remember, we've got all this sort of demand side money coming in, but Trump is also expanding the supply side, right? So keeping that inflation under check and creating a super golden economy, right? So this is the whole narrative there. Number 9, early implementation of the Genius Act. So obviously we had the Genius Act go through this year, absolutely huge for crypto, particularly for Ethereum, the stablecoin chain. And of course, any chain that emulates anything close to that will do pretty well. Maybe Solana, maybe even possibly Pulse chain, we'll see. But of course, you got to move pretty quickly onto that. And of course, Secretary Scott Bessent talking about $4 trillion in stablecoin boom by 2030. And we've already seen, I think, a huge increase in stablecoins already. So I think we moved from about $185 billion up to I think it's 275 billion last time I checked, something like that. It's pretty big move, but we're going to expect to see some pretty big expansion there. Obviously, the Trump children as well, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump there, got the USD1. We're expecting a lot of moves there. I think that if you follow that, you might see a lot of the. It's kind of like an early warning sign about what's going on, or early sort of blues clues to where some of the Trump stuff is going, because obviously they've got to be well connected, right? So we should see some pretty interesting things from there. Let's call it a leader indicator. That's it. So now, obviously, that's going to be pretty exciting. This is going to be huge. Now, obviously, the more you have of stable coins moving around, the more you're going to use up, create more volume for the blocks, particularly on EVM chains with EIP 1559. So you're going to have more volume, and particularly over a certain point, you're going to have a lot of burning rather than net inflation. You're going to have net deflation, right? Subject to the burning equilibrium there. And so this should help stimulate that big time. So it's going to increase the burning too. So what do we do? We've got these supply forces, the demand forces. Well, we're expecting some pretty outstanding GDP, 3 to 5% into 26 to 27. And we should start to see early signs of the GDP growth as early as Q1. Then Q2 should really start picking up, and we should be just going all guns from then. And hence, we start to move into the golden age of America. And so 3 to 5% GDP. And look, maybe by the end of 27 or something, we may even see 6% growth. It could be pretty insane. So this is huge, absolutely massive. And of course, you can imagine how quick the US economy will grow from 27 trillion at these sort of growth rates. Absolutely massive. China, of course, is flattening out with their growth and maybe even be in trouble. They've also got a lot of demographic issues over the next 10 years, which could usher in their decline, which makes them a little bit unstable in terms of politics when they move forward, right? So that's going to be pretty interesting. So the US economy will absolutely boom. And if you recall under the Democrats and liberals over the last several decades, have always talked about, America's going to decline. We're going to do a managed decline, and China's going to rise and be the superpower. And we all like China because it's authoritarian, and we want to be authoritarian and all the rest of the nonsense, right? But actually, no. Trump's like, no, we can be super huge. We're the leader already. We can even grow even further. And so instead of seeing convergence and takeover by China, we're going to see the United States leave China behind, which is going to be pretty incredible. Now, some of the things that need to be done with that are also around security and manufacturing. Those two keys are very big, a big deal. Now, we know America since the 1975 has lost something like, I think it was 7.5 million jobs in manufacturing, and Trump aims to get a lot of those back, but there'll be different kind of manufacturing, right? Obviously, the economy is moving into a new age, but it's going to be pretty exciting to see where all that goes, right? Obviously, car manufacturing is going to be very important. A boom in ship manufacturing is going to be really massive, and both of those, of course, are required for war. So, the fact that the Democrats were getting rid of all that was making the United States very vulnerable to Chinese military, who have been spending on ramping up. They've been at war with America for quite a long time, preparing for the big war, right? This way, they've been, America's only got about 1% of the tonnage building capacity that China has. Obviously, America still, in most ships, still makes better quality ships, nuclear powered, aircraft carriers and destroyers and things like that. But by number, the China has a very big coastal navy. And with their third aircraft carrier out, right? So they're still way inferior, but of course they've been going for advanced weapons, so like supersonic, hypersonics, and things like that. So there is a bit of give and take there. But with Trump's strategy, that's going to just build up the GDP. and of course have a lot of money in manufacturing and shipbuilding and all the rest of it that's going to go with it, with the golden age of America. So very exciting there. So not only are you going to be safer, but you're also going to be wealthier, and hopefully you'll have more smiles on your face. That's kind of it. All right, so pretty awesome. Clarity Act process, obviously that's moving on with non-custodial activities and other regulations around crypto. We thought that might get approved by the end of the year, but it's not a given. So that may float into 2026, but hopefully that will get through by the Senate there as well. So we'll keep a lookout for that. Pretty big deal also. We have obviously seen stuff around the SEC. So SEC support has been really good. They got their SEC crypto group and strategy, also working with NASDAQ and other regulations there, trying to protect the investor, but protect the consumer, but also support innovation. And they want to be the crypto leader of the world, right? So very, very cool stuff happening there. And they've been talking with a lot of the TradeFi groups, a lot of the existing big money that's in the stock market and the bond markets and things like that. And they've been talking about coordinating together with the CFTC as well around those two markets, and really trying to have discussions around tokenization. Now, obviously, the SEC just recently, yesterday, I think we looked at the video of the day before, was talking about the fact that they had that they expect tokenization of a lot of the stock market to happen potentially within 2 years. That is just mind-boggling if that does happen at that pace, because that's just a further, just absolutely utter big boom in crypto, because then you'd get stock market shares tokenized as crypto, and that would be just insane, right? And of course, you can tokenize a lot, virtually everything in the real world, right? Obviously, we've seen with ZK Sync, with ZKP, we've seen ProvX there look to tokenize that with the old ProvX, right? So that's going to be a pretty big deal moving forward. So now we've got the whole TradeFi coming in. Come on, guys, absolutely ginormous. So pretty exciting there. Let me jump forward here. So we got one more. Number 13 is strategic ETH reserves grow. So we're going to continue to see that grow, especially with all these other things that we've just been talking about up to this point. So obviously Tom Lee there still looking to grab another about 2.4 million in ETH to get up to 6 million ETH, to get that 5%, to get that strategic put, as he calls it. And of course, also at 5%, you would have an impact on the network effect as well. And if we do get a lot of this tokenization boom, the stablecoin boom with the Genius Act and these previous points, then we could also see obviously the volumes rise as well, and with more scarcity in place, we could see a lot higher value. And of course, Tom Lee's priced the network value of Ethereum at $60 trillion. So it's just massive. I think it was $60,000 ETH, I should say, per ETH. So it's just massive, guys, how big this will get. And of course, as volume increases on the chain, you'll also get bigger burns, right? Bigger burns as well. So it's pretty exciting there. Cold DeFi says 2026 will be the bull market. We expect it in 25. Yeah, absolutely, for the crypto market for sure. So delayed from the stock market, and some of the majors already enjoyed a good run. But it does set up Pulse Chain pretty well, especially when you've got the ProvX sacrifice finishing on the 10th of January. That should all lead us in pretty well there. And hopefully if the ETH price re-rates, we also saw Richard Art talking in his video about $10,000. He seemed to be pretty happy with that price. So maybe that would be a trigger for him to rotate something into Pulse Chain, although he can do that through various means, right? And of course, we've got Liberty Swap launching Railgun within the next sort of 36 hours. So that is a possible avenue he could sneak money into the Pulse Chain there and do some jumpermentals. We like that jumpermentals there. So pretty cool stuff happening there. And of course, we just had the upgrade on Ethereum, right? The Kasaka upgrade. So there's good things happening in the space, right? Good things happening in the old ETH space, and not only Tom Lee with Bitmine Immersion, but we'll see a lot of the other ETH groups start flooding in, especially as the price of ETH starts running away. They will all be flooding in there, so they'll be strategizing to pick up bags, and they'll be watching Tom Lee pretty closely there. All right, so that's pretty cool for 13, and of course that would have some sort of reflection play into Pulse Chain, and of course with fantastic bridges and Railgun setups into Tornado Cash from Liberty Swap, that also allows that two-way expansion as well, and fees on both accounts. So it's a win-win across the board there. Very exciting stuff. All right, number 14, of course, is that governments, obviously, we're looking for the White House to do some budget neutral buying and of the Bitcoin and also the altcoin stockpile. There's probably a number of ways they could do that. I don't know whether buying strategy from Michael Saylor is one of those, but there's a lot of stuff that could happen there. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So we'll keep a lookout for that. Obviously, institutions are slowly changing their risk profile and moving into crypto as well. We're going to see that accelerate. That does take time to happen, but I think we're going to see that happen pretty fast, especially now we've got the Genius Act, Clarity Act coming up. We've got ETFs, of course, and market makers coming in as well. So there's a lot of stuff happening in that space. Obviously, companies as well, corporations, got to change their risk profile and start coming in as well. But of course, they can go through, NASDAQ vehicles, ETFs and things, all sorts of things are there as well. And then the 401ks as well. We've obviously directed 401ks, being able to direct some of your retirement funds into crypto in particular, maybe even entities like Bitmine, Immersion, things like that. Lots of different options there. And then, of course, the retail flow, right? So the retail, obviously, under this sort of environment where you've got a lot of investment, you've got a lot of job opportunities starting to lift up, you've got a lot of revenue being made, you've got all these tax benefits, you're getting all these refunds and checks. It really does get really, really wild. And it goes, the net worth of everything starts going up, right? So stock market keeps going up, crypto keeps going up. And so you've got this high net worth and also sort of that positive cycle goes on. So pretty exciting stuff. And hence, a vast majority of the Americans will feel the golden age of America in their pockets and in their material welfare and hopefully in their lives as well, right? So it's pretty exciting. And we're also expecting not only to play out in the stock market and crypto markets, but also commodity markets continue to boom due to all of this investment and, of course, demand that's going to ensue. So we expect, gold and silver, etc., to continue to rally as well. Now, number 15, Pulse Chain and Magic Carpet Ride, right? So there's always question marks around this, right? You're either a believer or you're not. You either think Richard's a good player or not player, and you've got to make a decision around that, right? So you can look back in the past. You can look back at Hex, of course, if you're a pro Richard. You can look at all the moves he's made this year around inflation and things like that. You can say, well, he can be a bit tough sometimes with ripping off the Band-Aid with the ProvX at the time of the market where the market's already down. Or you could look at it and say he's just shaking out those final hands, accumulating some more cash for the next moves. And, he's also been touting a few little teasers around he's more interested in Pulse Chain season rather than altcoin season. You've got him talking about, well, if people like 10,000X and Hex, then they're gonna really hate. If they hate that, then they're really gonna hate the next move in Pulse Chain, basically. And then, of course, at least the next move in ProveX. And then you've got devs like Bretep, is a big loyal dev there, super dev, talking about the fact that, hey, look, Pulse Chain season is going to be pretty exciting. Maybe it won't just be a season. Bretep was talking about, sort of implying some sort of sustained ecosystem. So there's lots of cool things that could be moving forward there. And of course, we play a little video of Richard there. It's pretty open-ended, pretty balanced opinion about where Pulse Chain might be once you get to the bottom. There's only one way up, and the people that survive long enough are the ones that are going to benefit from that. So you either believe that all that narrative and those posts that he's put out, or you just you just cry fag or something like that, whatever that people are going to say. But you have to make a decision about it, right? So that's kind of where we are right now with that. And of course, the Magic Carpet Ride could include multiple chess moves. We'll see what Richard actually applies, and then maybe if we get to true 2026 and then nothing happens, maybe you can then decide, well, it was all just to have, and we wasted another year, even though it was probably the best time in the market. And so, from points number 1 to 14, I think you can see it is just the perfect golden lineup at the moment for crypto to really run super well in 2026. So it's going to be pretty awesome. And if we do get some of those beautiful chess moves from Richard Hart in 2026, it could be unbelievable, especially at the moment where you can buy such a low price on Pulse and Hex and everything else. And we may see ProveX come to the party as well, maybe be a champion leader there. And of course, tied in liquidity, etc., like that. And if we do get widespread adoption, it could be pretty awesome there too. So there's lots of possibilities, lots of a few ifs in there as well. But those are 15 things, I think, top 15 fundamentals that are going to drive absolute incredible market going forward. So we've got monetary policy, perfect timing for pumping risk on assets. It's going to be expanding. We've got investment, fundamental investment in the fundamental economy, going to be absolutely huge for the fundamental side of the economy. We've got fiscal spending that is going to be balanced by supply. So we've got that supply and demand balancing, keeping inflation low, but wealth increasing. We've got the perfect run up there. We've obviously got a lot of individual retailers going to be able to participate with all these checks and refunds. And of course, we've got all the positive support from the US leadership, the SEC leadership, the CFTC, and of course, we've got the market actors leading the way, like Tom Lee, sucking the supply out and bringing the TradeFi market in directly through investments, ETFs, and of course, tokenization and stable coins. It's going to be absolutely huge, and more custodials, right? Going to be a big, big deal there. And of course, every player is going to flood in, every player around the world, because the America's leading the way of the White House. Every country in the world is going to follow suit, and it's just going to plow more and more money in there. We're going to have institutions, companies, the retail, everyone getting in. And so 26, 27, I think, is looking outstanding for everybody. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. And of course, if we do get that magic carpet right on top of there, the sprinkle of the sauce, Pulse Chain is going to be pretty amazing. Now, with that said, you still have to decide what are the best investments to get into in terms of crypto. And of course, we talk about that a lot these days. And I will be covering up, doing a video on what I think are the blue chips that we're going to have on Pulse Chain that are more investable rather than pump and dumpers. So I hope you guys enjoy. That's going to be coming up soon too with following this video. I think it's kind of their natural match together, right? All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you haven't joined Strategy Club, the link's in the video description. If you're watching on X, it's at the top there, pinned at the top, the Whoop store. You have to go through the Whoop store there. And it's just over $1 a day, about $35 a month to join up the Strategy Club. And I pass in a lot of intel there every single day. So I hope you guys will enjoy that. All right, we got any final comments? We've got the spot all your futures there. So we are here for 15 years in a bull market. What are you thinking about? Well, hey, look, if you're 50 years old, that would mean you're 65. If you're 65, that would mean you're 80, and you might not make it. Right? So you got to be. It's relative to your age, dude. That's all I'm going to say. If you're 15, you'll be 30, so that's fine, right? That's fine. So it always just perspective, mate. Perspective. So that's another topic, right? That's another topic. Life cycles and investment horizons. So I hope you enjoy it. And of course, that links in risk and returns, right? So anyway, we're going to have a look at the next video. Will probably be on blue chips. I hope you enjoy it then when we get to that. All right, I'll finish up here. I hope you enjoyed that quick one, and we'll do some more of these as well moving forward. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.